to another episode of Old Guys Loving Life. I'm your host, Perry, broadcasting today from beautiful New Smyrna Beach, Florida in Studio 1A. Thanks for listening. A week from today, I will be in beautiful Pensacola with my beautiful granddaughters and my son and my daughter-in-law, and I'll be attending the Softball World Series held in Orange Beach, Alabama. My granddaughter is playing in the event, and guess where Pawpaw's going to be? But guess what, folks? I'm going to bring you along with me. I'm going to be doing video, I'm going to be doing audio, and I promise my son and I are going to do a show together. Yay! So what have you guys been doing this week? Have you had a wonderful week? Have you been out loving life? Grasp it by the gonads and hang on tight, buddy, because life is beautiful. Go out and live it. I don't care how old you are, whether you're 20 or 200. It's about loving life, experiencing life, and treasuring each and every moment, because you never know when it's going to end. I have to admit, today's show is going to be difficult for me. I have prayed and asked for guidance. My son has prayed for me. Today's show is really going to be difficult for this old guy. But we'll get to that in a minute. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for all the wonderful comments and supportive comments that we get from you guys weekly. We have thousands of downloads through iHeart Radio and iTunes weekly. And of all the shows there are to listen to, we're so grateful that you guys choose to listen to this show. I'd like to remind everyone that you can comment on our website. There's a box in a comment section. You can send us your positive feedback and comments. There are hats, t-shirts, and pint glasses available. And wouldn't it be so nice if you were walking around your hometown wearing an Old Guys Loving Life t-shirt, just like me and Wayne? All right, so you guys know that now we're doing a number of different things. We're trying to feel our way around and find a nice little format for everybody. And one of the subjects that we talk about is loving life and being prepared to be an old person. Now, I realize there are people out there that are in their 20s that listen to the show, and there are people in their 70s and 80s that listen to the show. We greatly appreciate all the wonderful comments that you guys have been sending us and the support that we've been getting from you guys. And I mean, I can't thank you enough for listening to our show. It's just mind-boggling. Okay, with that said, let's all welcome aboard our new listeners in Argentina, in Sweden, and Australia. Good day, mates. I'm going to Barbie tonight. But seriously, Thank you guys for listening to this show. We love you. And anytime you guys know, comment, comment, comment. We love your feedback. And we feed off of your feedback. Does that make sense? Anyway. All right, guys. So, on a personal note, today's show is going to be a little difficult for me. It's something that I have put off for a while talking about, and but it's a topic that all of us are going to need to appreciate. Today I am drinking a Cigar City Guayabera. I know I didn't pronounce that correctly, but it's a Citra Ale, and it's a very nice beer. You guys know that one of my favorite breweries, if not the favorite brewery of mine, is Cigar City. So I urge you guys to go out and give this beer a try. Guayabera. To be honest, I have been out today working in the yard and taking care of the backyard. Took a few moments to relax in the pool and have a libation and think about how I'm going to address the subject of today. I have prayed that the message that I want to convey to you guys, you guys get it, because it's very important. My son has prayed for me, and anyway, so let me stop stammering here for a moment. We'll take a short break, and I'll be right back. Thank you. Okay, welcome back, guys. I really don't know where to begin. Let's start with the beginning as far as I know it. My mother was born and raised in Oneonta, Alabama. During the Depression, my who I know is to be my maternal grandparents fostered my mother and gave her a good life and sent her to school. There's where she met my father in high school. My mother was a fine Christian woman. Went to church, loved her church, loved her family, loved her boys, loved her grandchildren, loved her great-grandchildren. She loved life. I miss my mother. She was an active senior citizen. She went to church events. She loved to dance. She and my stepfather would go to the neighboring counties to dances, and she just loved to dance. She loved to cook. She loved to bake. My mother she my stepfather came down with Alzheimer's, and he was in a nursing home, and she would go in and see him daily. And take care of him. One day, she didn't show up to the nursing home. No one thought anything about it. My brother called my mother, and she didn't answer the phone, and he didn't think anything about it. I called my mother, and she didn't answer, and I really didn't think anything about it. She was off running errands. She was at the nursing home. My wife went to Alabama to visit her family. And she said, "I'm going to go see your mother tomorrow. I haven't been able to reach her by phone. Can you give her a call?" She didn't answer. Didn't think anything of it. The next day, my wife and my mother-in-law went to my mom's house to pay a visit. No one answered. Her car was in the driveway. They went around to the windows and looked in. That's when they discovered my mother lying, helpless, unconscious, on the floor in the den. You know, back in the 1980s, during the beginning of MTV, those you guys that are my age, you know what I'm talking about. We'd have parties at the house. We'd drink, have a good social time, and watch the videos on MTV. One of the most funny commercials that we would see, and we would just crack up laughing. Not because we were heartless, but because of the bad acting in the commercial. This commercial was, "Help, I've fallen and I can't get up." Ironic that years later, my mother was at home alone in her den watching TV. Who knows what happened? She wanted to get up and go get her a drink of water. She wanted to go get a snack. She needed to go to the bathroom. She needed to let the cats out or the cats in. But she fell in her den and she couldn't get up. I can imagine she laid there screaming for help as long as she was conscious. No one heard her. Her husband was in the nursing home. He's not there. She's in the home alone. Screaming, "Help! Help!" No response. Eventually, she probably passed out, went to sleep. She woke up the next day, maybe. She wakes up, she hears silence. "Help! Help!" Neighbors can't hear her. The TV's on. She's in her den alone. Surely by now she has lost control of her bowels, her urine. She's laying there on the floor helpless. She can't move. "Help! Hello!" Nobody answers. Surely she's praying, "Good Lord, please help me. Sweet Jesus, please send somebody to help me." She's in pain. She's helpless. She can't move. And she's crying out to Jesus, "Please help me, Lord. Please help me. I've been your servant for all these years. Please let somebody come by here and find me. Please let somebody come and find me." Can you imagine how many hours that went on? How many hours did that poor lady spend on the floor praying that someone would come and find her? The phone probably rang and she couldn't get to the phone. She's just laying there. By this time, she's probably in and out of conscious a lot. And when she's conscious and aware of what's going on, she's probably screaming to the top of her lungs for somebody to come and freaking help her. Where's my sons? One of her sons is in Florida. One of her sons is in Birmingham. One of her sons is in the same town that she's in. Nobody's calling. Nobody is worried that she's not answering the phone. She's at the nursing home. She's out getting her hair done. She's at church. No one had a clue that she was laying in the floor of her den. She couldn't reach a phone. She's screaming at the top of her lungs. Hopefully, some neighbor would hear her and save her. Then my wife and my mother-in-law discover her. They call 911. They call my brother. Everybody converges about the same time on the house. My brother had a key, got entry. Rescue scooped her up and took her to the hospital. She was dehydrated. She'd been laying there for so long that she was dehydrated. She was delirious. Her mind was not in the present. She was put into a medicated coma at the hospital. And she was admitted to ICU. And there, Ice Machine decided to do its business while right in the middle of this wonderful story. Thank you, Ice Machine. She never regained consciousness. She was so dehydrated that her brain had deteriorated. Her organs had started to shut down. She had been laying there for days. It's hard to determine at this point how many days she actually laid there. Even one day is excruciating. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. She had multiple issues going on. Doctors didn't give her much of a chance of survival. We all held vigil there at the waiting room of the ER. We'd wait for visiting hours, and we'd go in and see her 1 or 2 at a time. She eventually died. The point that I would like to make to you guys is at some point in your life, whether your spouse is in the nursing home or whether your spouse is in the house, or whether you live alone, at some point you need to have a life alert on your body 24/7. My mother had a life alert. She was too vain to wear it. Had she had the Life Alert necklace around her neck, she could have pushed a button. Help would have been on the way. My mother was in her late 70s. She was in perfect health. Perfect health. She lived her life for her church and for her children and her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren. And because she was so vain, she didn't have that little button to click. And help would have been on the way. I think this is a lesson that all of us should learn. At some point in our age, some point in our lives, we need to carry a Life Alert. I'm 62. I'm still active. But when is the time that we need something like that? In our 70s, in our 80s? When we are home alone. I don't give a darn if you're 50 or if you're 500. If you're living alone, you need to carry a Life Alert. Just think of this. My mother was healthy. Was healthy. Not one medical issue in her life, period. Just got up to get a drink of water. Just got up to go to the bathroom. Just got up to go and get a brownie. While watching TV one night. And fell and could not get up. And that was her demise. She lay there and suffered and screamed and cried and prayed for who knows how many frickin' days before help came. And when help came, it was too late. Because she had no food. She had no water. Her systems were shutting down, checking out. And she died. Her life could have been saved if she had been wearing her Life Alert necklace. Please let this matter. Dear God, Jesus, please let this message save somebody's life. I pray that my mother's suffering and this story saves someone's life.